What is up, you guys? If you just clicked on this video, I want all of you guys to either grab a snack, grab a coffee, grab a hot tea, a hot chocolate, because I'm going to get very personal about my whole experience with birth control. To start off, I'm going to kind of give you the gist of like my birth control experience, like how this happened, and then I'm going to start talking about all the like specific things that happened to me that literally like almost ruined my life. So to start off, I started birth control when I was a freshman in college. And when that started, it was like a good 3 years that I tried multiple different pills trying to like figure out what worked for my body, and none of them were working. Every single one of them had a different side effect to my body that made me feel not myself and not feel very good. And then when Hunter and I started dating, we had the discussion about me getting the IUD because it was the most effective birth control out there. It was like 99.999% effective. You were supposed to like lose your period, which makes it super easy because you don't have to worry with periods and like menstrual cycles and all that. So I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like the absolute perfect thing. I should have done my research. So I guess this is a PSA, like do your research before you put anything into your body, especially birth control. And even though this happened to me, it may not happen to you, so I can't say that every girl is going to relate to this, but if you are a younger girl or maybe even older and looking to get birth control, hopefully this can give you guys the like proper knowledge you need to make the right decision for your body. So after Hunter and I discussed about the IUD, I ended up just booking the appointment and went and got it. And to start off, that was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. They say it's like equivalent to a pregnancy contraction, like when you're giving birth. And so I always say, like, if that's one contraction, like, dear God, like, I need the strength to get through birth because it was so painful. They had to wheelchair me out of the hospital to my car because I almost passed out. It was so painful. Now Hunter's in it too. Also, we're gonna talk, like, Hunter and I are both gonna talk about how it affected our relationship too, because like we were literally at our breaking point when the symptoms were getting super, super bad. I'm still gonna kind of talk about, so after I got it in, COVID happened, like everything was kind of just like hitting a peak of disaster. I just got the new birth control, COVID happened, Hunter and I had to do long distance for a little bit because of COVID. I feel like the symptoms didn't hit till like a year after, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's like a good while for it to like actually kick into your system.
Yeah, I feel like the first year we were just like having fun. Like I felt so good.
Yeah.
Our like we were just doing, so we were in college that whole first year after I got it.
We literally just started dating, and I, heard about this like birth control. I'm sure like Libby probably heard about it too.
I never heard of it.
Oh really?
No, this was like my first time because I was always on the pill.
Oh, but it was like this birth control that you just like basically like put up there, and it like blocks everything off, and it's like almost impossible
to get pregnant. It happens.
To get pregnant, like it's still possible, but you know, like as close as you can get to not being able to.
Hunter was like all for it.
And I was like, you know what? We can just go have fun. Like we can do whatever. We don't have to worry about nothing.
Yeah. But little did we know that this was literally gonna almost kill me.
Like, yeah, when they say it like blocks everything off, like you put it there,
your hormones are shut off.
Which is
terrible.
Not good for your body. Obviously, you can see why. If it literally like stops.
If you
all
like
your hormones.
Think about it for a second and not just like, oh, I can't get pregnant, and actually like do your research and like look into it. That is not how the woman body is supposed to be. It's not.
That's not how anyone's body is supposed to be. We
did it. It was really fun for a year. But then right when we moved to Indiana together, so I was leaving home for the first time, shit hit the fan. Okay, so once Hunter and I moved to Indiana, that's when like the symptoms started getting really, really bad. So I was so tired. Like I couldn't work out. He's my baby.
Somebody wanted to say hi.
He's my baby. Oh, baby doo-doo. Oh, thank you. Oh, the tisses. Oh, the tisses.
There's a big panda there.
I love you. But, so, I literally was so tired, guys. To the point where I like couldn't work out. I was always crabby. And I think the worst part is I didn't know what was wrong with me. So imagine like you're so tired and you don't know what's wrong with you. And also what was super frustrating I went to so many doctors. Hunter, how many doctors do you think I went to?
4.
Like 4 different doctors, and they all were like, because I actually said, is it the birth control? Because that was the only thing that really changed for me, was that I, started taking a different birth control. Every doctor told me no. They were like, no, Libby, like that's not it. Like birth control doesn't do that, because I was so tired. I could barely get out of bed. Some days I couldn't even walk. It was so bad. I would get such bad cramps. I would literally cry. I didn't have a period, so I never really knew when like my period was, if that makes sense. So I'd randomly get emotional. And then on top of that, I was nauseous 24/7. Like I couldn't eat anything because I felt so nauseous when I would eat. I thought I was dying of like cancer or something. And the thing was, like, I kept getting no answers. I would go get my blood drawn. I'd be looked at by doctors, and everybody was like, you're perfect. There's nothing wrong with you. So then that, like, imagine what that does to your psyche, right? So I'm thinking I'm crazy. So it was like a cycle of feeling sick, not enjoying life because I felt so sick, thinking there's something horribly wrong with me that no doctor can figure out, and then me going to the doctor and them telling me that I'm practically crazy because nothing's wrong with me. And so then I would get depressed and be like so frustrated and angry with myself. I cried so much in the 4 years I was on the IUD. Like, I cried so much, and it makes me so sad to like think back, like I might tear up, of how much I hated myself because I felt so terribly sick and I didn't know what was wrong. I'm gonna get into like how it affected Hunter and I and our relationship, because I've told you guys the symptoms. Doctors telling me I'm pretty much crazy. I think you thought I may have been crazy. I think people around me were like, what, like he brought me to so many doctor's appointments. So yeah, I mean, you can speak for yourself, but did you low-key think I was like all in my head?
I definitely thought it was like a mental thing, but after like kind of hearing that some of these other girls are going through similar things, because I had no idea, like I didn't really know anything about birth control. I just thought you took a pill or, put something up there and it was like, you don't get pregnant as easily.
Yeah.
So I had no idea, and like she was way totally different than when we first started dating to like a year in. Yeah. And it was just like her whole like mindset, her mental, her physical, like everything changed as soon as like the birth control started to kick in. So I was like, well, like, are you actually feeling these things? Why is this like happening all of a sudden? Like, like what happened? And I started questioning all these things, but
it got obviously worse. It was like worse and worse,
rotting her from the inside out, which is so sad to think about.
It is. And like it literally, like I'm saying, got worse because the longer you feel like shit, the longer your mental health is gonna deteriorate. And I was so sick and like couldn't do anything. Like if you guys watch old videos, I did not want to be filming.
Yeah. You had like zero energy, like zero drive to like work out, zero drive to film, zero drive to do anything.
None.
And it was like such a battle mentally too. Like she would do one thing, like the simplest of things, like, just go on a walk. And then it was like...
the whole day was over.
Yeah, you needed to just nap and you wanted to lay down the rest of the day.
Ugh.
Which was like absolutely crazy, because if you would have known Libby when we first started like talking and dating...
I worked out like twice a day.
Like this girl was insane. She made me look like a fat lard. She made me look like the laziest person ever.
I ate so good, constantly on the go.
Like, guys, I'm telling you, she would go to the gym like 2, sometimes 3 times a day, like at like 10 o'clock at night.
Loved it.
Like go. Never wanted to take a nap. Couldn't take naps. Like just always on the go.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, this girl is like, she's making me look bad.
And he's a hard worker.
And I was like, at the time, playing college basketball, like going to class, going to like work out in the morning, practice in the evening, like.
And I think one thing that made me so sad is like during this whole thing, I like would tell you all the time, like, leave me, because I felt like such a failure as a partner, because I was so useless. Like I literally was like a log on the couch because I couldn't do anything. And I just, for him to like start dating like the dream girl of his life, and then to have me turn into like this legit sloth who couldn't do like anything. Like, I was so bad.
You weren't a sloth. You look like a sloth, though.
Yeah, I do look like a
You're a
sloth.
sloth.
But it was really sad, and it was hard for me to see how much it affected him. And we argued a lot more because you just didn't understand. Like, it was so hard for him to like understand what I was going through. And even my mom, like, she kept telling me, like, go to the doctor. And every time I'd go, we wouldn't get answers. And it finally got to the point where I felt like I did every test you could do for cancer. For Lyme, I did do a Lyme's disease test, and they told me I did have that. So for a while, I thought it was Lyme's. But I don't think that was it completely. I think that maybe could have aided in why it was so bad, but I don't think that was 100% why I was feeling this way.
Yeah.
So after all these tests, no answers. I was like, fine. And the big reason why I didn't get this taken out right away is because the doctors told me it wasn't that. They were guaranteeing me it's not the birth control. And it was very expensive. It's like $3,000 to get one of those. And it was so painful to get in. I felt like this is useless for me to get it out.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure a lot of other girls would agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, because you want it to be worth it. Like, you just did this big thing.
Right.
So you want to make the time worthwhile and the pain
because it's supposed to last
worthwhile.
5 years too.
Yeah.
So I kind of hoped I could wait out these 5 years and see if it would change. But it got to the point where I was so depressed.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievably, like, hated myself. Like, I would look at Hunter and be like, I hate who I am as a person. I hate how I feel. Which, between Hunter and my dad, they both did encourage me a lot because I did get really down on myself. And I did take those random days throughout those 3 years where I did feel really good to like really be grateful for those days.
But it was super rare. You would like, for some reason, just like once in a blue moon, just have this like really awesome, like, you know, good energy day. And you're like, you know, this was the old me. Like, why can't I have this all the time? And then you would get frustrated, like, thinking about that because you're like, this is how I'm supposed to be, but I don't know why my body feels so tired and like lethargic all the time.
And I'd always think, like, what did I eat? What did I drink? Like, I always thought there was like some special formula, but it was never.
And then it just affects with your mental because you're just asking all these like whys, and you don't really have an answer. Like, at the time, like we kind of thought it was like birth control, but we didn't know.
Yeah, because the doctors are who are supposed to be the ones who know what's wrong with you, and they obviously didn't. So fast forward, I finally was like, F it, I'm getting this thing taken out. And I went home and I got it taken out. And let me remind you guys, I hadn't had a period this whole time. It was gone. So crazy enough, when I got it taken out, it was like an instant feeling of just like, it was weird. And like, they told me this could happen.
Relief. Just
like relief, and like my ovaries, it almost felt like they just relaxed because it was like holding in this thing.
It's basically just like stopping your body from
having a period,
regulating on its own like normal functions
and hormones. Yeah, so it's like my hormones, it's like I felt like I was on a period every day of my life for 3 years. Imagine yourself having your period every day. That is how it felt. I just wasn't bleeding.
Which is crazy because like when you do have your period now, you're like, holy crap, like this is what I felt like every single day.
It kind of gives me anxiety. When I get my period now, it does spark PTSD of like how I felt.
Which is so sad.
It is so sad. But fast forward, how long have I had that thing out?
A little over a year.
Over a year. And I still struggle a little bit. Like I'm still very tired a certain amount of days in a month. But I've been told and researched that it can take years to recover. It was actually so crazy. This is like disgusting, guys. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this on the internet. But when I got my period back for the first time after almost 3 years, I literally like had it in the middle of the night and like ruined a bed. Like it exploded.
In our bed. It was like
it was so bad.
It was like a massacre.
It was like a murder scene. And like, I remember waking up and I was so happy, right? Like, I got it back.
Because you were waiting so long.
It was like
took a while.
4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And like, that's what you want. You want your period back because then my hormones can start regulating. But to have that happen in the middle of the night and you just to be like,
I remember you waking me up.
I'm like, Hunter! And I was like freaking out. He literally looked at me. He was like, holy shit.
But I was like, it's okay. Like
you were really sweet. But at first, like the blood, you were like, oh my gosh.
I was like, that's gonna stain.
And it did a little bit. Sorry, my Papa Chris. I really wanted just to make this video to explain like how this literally made our relationship so hard because he couldn't understand.
It was like, when it was at the worst point for us was probably like New York when we were going through COVID. It was at like the peak of your IUD, anxiety, like depression, like whatever. It was like taking the hardest toll on you. And I mean, that was like the one time where we like came close to breaking up.
We did. Like I was so depressed and he was actually really depressed too.
And I don't know, like I was not really in a good place either mentally, but I mean, it could be like we could have been playing off each other. We probably were playing off each other because like when both sides of the relationship are not in a good place mentally, like you can't expect to, you know, be a strong like power couple or like have a healthy relationship when you aren't in a good spot.
Yeah, and we always say like me first.
You got to put yourself first in order to like, you know,
better your partner.
Yeah, make the relationship strong and healthy.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was like
literally cried in bed together.
Yeah, we came to like our breaking points as a couple.
Yeah. And I definitely think like the birth control played like a huge role in it because he was not dating the person he met.
Yeah, Libby was like completely different from it.
And I think I'm not completely there where you met me, but I am a hell of a lot closer.
I definitely think you'll get back to that.
I do too.
I truly do.
I see a little bit
you've
every
come
day.
so far since like getting it out too.
Yeah.
You know, which I'm super proud of you for.
Thank you. And I have to thank you for like sticking by my side and like being there for me at like the darkest points of my life. And I want, oh my God, I think younger me or like me right before I got this, like I wish I had a role model saying like, don't do it. And that's what I want to like say to all you young girls, or if you're someone who's a little older and plans on getting it, I know it can work for some people, but is it really worth the risk? That's my question for you guys. Is it worth putting this substance in your body that shuts down your reproductive system, which is like what we're supposed to do?
It might work for you, you know, that's kind of, it's just something you kind of have to figure out.
But sometimes I don't even think it's worth trying because I thought it would work for me too, and now look what happened.
Yeah, I mean, this is just us speaking from
about our story
and Libby's own perspective and opinion, which we're very strongly passionate about it. But you know, some people out there have never had any issues, so like there's also that.
And but also, I have to add,
you just have to ask yourself, like, are you willing to take that risk?
Yeah. And the whole doctor thing, trust me, doctors are amazing, okay? But remember, doctors don't know everything. They can have error, and every single doctor I talked to had error, and they led me to believe that I was psycho. So sometimes follow your heart and your intuition, and if you're feeling like something is wrong, I told myself for like that whole time that I thought it was my birth control. And I told you that all the time, I think it's my birth control. And I should have just freaking followed my gut because I could have had that out 2 years sooner.
Yeah, and it's also like, you know, like who puts in the birth control, like who puts you on the birth control? It's doctors. Like that's their job to do that. So, you know, to go against that and not promote that, like I don't know, maybe they're not supposed to do that.
I don't know.
I'm not a doctor, but like just from an outsider's perspective, that's kind of what it seems like.
And this is also super frustrating. But when I told my doctor I was getting my birth control out, she was pissed.
Yeah.
She made me cry because she's like, oh, so that means you want to have a child? And I said, no. And she's like, well, if you're getting it out, you want a kid. And I'm like, I don't want a kid right now, but I'm getting it out because I am literally killing myself.
That's the saddest part about it is because like, you know, when you hear that from a doctor, like, you know, a doctor's supposed to be supportive and like help you out, like kind of hold your hand through a certain process or a certain low point in your life. And you know, when they kind of like passively aggressive, like
come at you
and attack you.
And I think that happened because my mom had me at 18. So she got pregnant super young. And I think this doctor just didn't want me to do the same thing because it was an accident.
Yeah.
And I get that, but it's like she was wrong, like, you know, and all that stuff. But I hope this can help somebody. I did kind of make a video about this in the past a while back, but I feel like I felt like I needed to get more to the details and really talk about it. There was
a lot more to it.
Yeah.
And kind of how it affected us too.
In our relationship. I don't think we talked about that enough.
Yeah, which was like a biggie.
Yeah, I am just so grateful we are where we're at, and I truly believe that I'm still recovering because I'll admit, like I said, I have days that still suck. You
do.
But
it's miles better than what it was. Like, as long as you just keep progressing, you know?
Yeah.
Each week, day by day, like, that's the biggest thing, and I think you have, and I'm super proud of you.
Thank you, babe.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you.
Also, I know you guys are patiently waiting for a furnished home tour. We have a lot of stuff, but Hunter is about to be leaving. So when he gets back, we'll kind of finalize everything and get that video out for them. Also, our birthday's coming soon. So what do you guys think we should do for our birthday?
Ooh,
should we go to an Airbnb? Should we go stay at a hotel?
We're gonna take a little trip.
We could go to Disney. Like, what do you guys think? I'm curious.
Yeah, comment down below. What should we do for our birthdays?
Our 26th birthday.
If for some reason you guys don't know and you are new here,
we have the same birthday.
Libby and I have the exact same birthday. Exact same.
Yeah,
so
pretty sweet. But we love you guys so much, and thank you for kind of listening to me vent about my experience, and I pray to God that this reaches the right audience and I can help people. Take this information, do your research. Guys, freaking go on TikTok and look up like birth control horror stories, and that will help you because I should have done that. I did it after I got it in, and then I was like, dang it.
Dang it.
But I love you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next video.